just gives me a little thrill of love inside. It's just fantastic. Great, great way to start this morning. Thanks, Karen. Fundraising is, first and foremost, a form of ministry. It is a way of announcing our vision and inviting other people into our mission. Henri Nouwen. It's good to see so many people here this morning, but there's free food, so why wouldn't you?
That is a good way to get people to show up, is free food.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you all for joining us this morning in person for free food, and those of you on Zoom, get your own donuts. Okay, we have quite a few announcements this morning, so I think we'll get started with that, and you maybe could form a line or something. Casey, do you want to start off?
Good morning, folks. I would like to remind everyone that we are on the eve of our interfaith shelter. We are 75%, 76% full of all of our volunteer spaces, but we still need a little more help. You're going to hear a little bit today about how important this kind of stuff is. So if you would like to volunteer, if you are called to help make sure our interfaith shelter for our unhoused guests is a success, please speak with Dan Bartholomew after the service. We're actually setting up for the shelter today after the service, so lots of big stuff happening. The Minister's Grief Group is going to be next week here in the sanctuary at 12:15. It is not the Grief Olympics. Every grief is welcome, no matter what it is. The Minister's Book Group will be in person and on Zoom in the library on March 17th. You still have time to read the book, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's an Indigenous people's history of the United States, and it is brutal at times. So if you're going to join and you haven't started reading yet, I want to give you a little bit of a content warning. We know the things that happened in our history have been bad. I think it's so much worse than most of us were taught. So I'm going to warn you now, it's a heavy book, so take care of yourselves while you're reading it. And we're doing a Sunday Services Committee training on March 30th at 10 a.m. starting in the salon. If you've ever had any questions about how the Sunday Services Committee works, it's a great time to show up. I'm going to work with our committee to make sure that we're understanding all of our processes, from how the sausage is made to getting our service set up to what it's like to actually be here in the pulpit speaking for everybody. I had one more and I don't remember what it was. That's what it was. You're going to start to see a little bit of a change of how we do some of our accessibility. So for one example, my name is Casey. I am a mid-30s woman with pink hair, glasses, lots of tattoos, wearing a flowy teal and floral dress. And we will be doing that because not everybody can see who we're talking to. So this is one more way that we are going to open up our accessibility. The UUA has been doing this, and I think it's time we join them as well. You'll also, those of you who are sighted will see that there's going to be text descriptions for any time that we have pictures. We'll also be reading those descriptions out loud. It's going to feel a little clunky until we get used to it, but it's okay, because the point is we want to make sure everyone's welcome, right? Now.
Next. Nancy's got an announcement, and Joanna has an announcement, and Eleanor has an announcement, and Dan has an announcement, and so please be patient and listen. And Sandy and Pam have an announcement.
Y'all, we might get done a little later than 11 today. I promise we're not keeping you hostage.
I'm Nancy. I'll save my accessibility description for later. So, more from the Sunday Service Committee. If you are so glad we are back in the sanctuary for in-person services, you may want to know how they actually happen or even be a part of it. We have the perfect solution. Next Sunday, some members of the Sunday Service Committee will be having a short informational meeting during which we will explain how the services are put together. We would love to hear your ideas and suggestions, and would love it even more if you would join us on the committee. This is your chance to be heard, but no pressure, no commitment. So the meeting will be after the service next Sunday, March 10th, in the conference room in the Summit office. And there will be a lot going on after service that day, but we hope to see you there. And if you can't make it then, you'll be able to get the handouts from the meeting later. And if you want to put this on your calendar, there's a short announcement about the meeting back in the greeting room on yellow paper. And if you just can't wait to give us your ideas, you can speak to me or Serafina or Joanne Cleland Swanson anytime. So we'll be in touch.
Good morning. My name is Eleanor, and one of our principles is the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the salon today is a polling center. So if you have not already mailed in your ballot, you can go over there and vote. And regardless of where you live in the county nowadays, you can vote at any polling center. So go vote your values.
Good morning. I'm Joanne, and I just wanted to let everyone know that if you didn't receive an email blast Friday regarding the Beecham family, Michelle is requesting meals. And so there's a sign up that went out as an email blast, but I understand that some people didn't get it. So if you didn't get it, let me know. And also today, you can check with Dan Bartholomew. He has his computer and he can sign people up. Thank you.
Dan or Al, who's next?
Next.
I don't have it. Casey covered it.
Okay. Al, and, yeah, why don't you come up? Start walking.
Welcome. I'm Pam, and I'm in sunny yellow, and we're starting off on a new beginning. Let me say, now that you're all here, I have an announcement. Somehow it was a mistake saying that we were providing lunch. I'm sorry. That never was in our plans because of the voting place. We could not use the salon. However, we have a very great bunch of donuts from Victor's. They're the best donuts in San Diego. And we have a lot of nice treats for you. So, sorry no lunch, but we did our best in that tight little kitchen over there. It still was an art form. And thanks to the Baines, Judy and Richard, I got them to volunteer, and I didn't know they had such expertise. So we're in good hands. Things are going to all be out there for you to enjoy. Enough of that, though. Thanks for You're welcome. Okay. This is the kickoff of our pledge drive. And I've worked on it and worked on it, thought about it. And so it's gotten easy for me. I labeled 1, 2, 3. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Thoughtfully consider what Summit means to you. We tried to help you with that, and we got some wonderful testimonials that have gone out as a blast or been in an email or been delivered as part of this service. They were heartwarming and well felt. Hopefully, that gives you an opportunity to think about what Summit means to you. Number two, understand what we need to finance Summit. We sent out a packet of information as an email, and we have the packets in the back for you to consider what Summit does. You know, we don't get funding from the UUA. It doesn't come from above. It's us. We keep the lights on. We pay for the staff. And so we do need financial support. But there's other ways to support with time. We know that people get in situations where they just can't pledge. I remember Pat Summers up here telling about the first pledge she made. It was $5, and it was the hardest pledge she ever made. We have some very generous, big donors here, thank goodness. But we need all of your support, even if it's, in some people's mind, a little. But sometimes a little pledge is harder to give than a great big pledge. We appreciate everyone's support. Finally, number three, then make your pledge. We're not going to require a certain amount. We're not going to hassle you. We have a big group of stewards there to answer your questions. They've been individually assigned, so they only have 4 or 5 people to check on. They're not there to hassle you. They're to help you make and turn in your pledge. So make a pledge that makes you feel good. And I want to say, turn in your pledge as soon as you can, so we can stop talking and harassing you.
Thanks, Pam. So she's the dynamite portion, and I'm the gray-haired, gray-shirted guy here. I'm Sandy, and I just wanted to acknowledge our stewards, who, as Pam said, are many. If you could just raise your hand. Richard Bain, Tom and Neil Biggert, Aaron Brown, Jamie Cleland, Joanne Swanson Cleland, Rin Corbet, Carol Davis, Nancy Deweese, Janet Dixon, Lisa Garvey, Dan Hand, Alan McQuaid, Betts McQuaid, Juana Page, Jim Park, Stacy Sasaki, Carol Schnaubelt, Mary Ellen Shue, Pat Summers, and Carolyn Woodbury. So those that are here today will be available to meet with you if you need some advice on what pledging is about or how much you might want to give. Both Pam and I have the master lists of who your assigned steward is. So come up to us and we'll tell you if you would like to have a chat with them. You can also chat with them about your feelings about Summit and why you're here and so forth. It doesn't have to be all monetary based, right? And as Pam said, we have both the call for donations and the actual pledge forms in hard copy at the back if you'd like to put it in the pledge box, which is on the table, which is very convenient as you're getting your donuts, right? Pam, you wanted to say something about the photo contest.
We have a winner of our photo contest. Oh, go to the mic. John's always quiet down, so my voice carries. But anyways, Eleanor Weed has won the photo contest. It was a picture of Abby with the triplets. Reading a book. So. Yeah, quite a beginning, and I hope you will enjoy enjoyed Jenga. It's a fun game. Okay.
And then, is Al the last announcement? Yes, sir.
If I'm not,
Yeah.
I would have to. Good morning. I'm Al Mork, and so I've got a couple announcements. Okay, first of all, the Social Justice and Action Committee is meeting today at noon in the library. It's a special meeting to tie up loose ends for the shelter that starts next Saturday. So our regular meeting of monthly meeting will be next Sunday at noon, also our new time, and so come prepared for anything you have questions today and tomorrow or next Sunday. You're welcome. So, okay. Thirdly, 1, 2, 3. Hey, there she is. Okay, right. We're going to have a workshop this year for our unhoused guests during the middle of the shelter on Saturday, March 16th from 9 to noon. And childcare is needed during that time. I know offhand we right now have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old, and might possibly even more. We're going tomorrow to meet the guests, Dan and Liz and myself and Melody. So, but we'll find out more information. But if you know of a young person or even old gray hair that's wants to do childcare, and lunch is provided, a great lunch. So we have afterwards for the guests and for the provider from the Interfaith Shelter Network. So, okay, thanks much.
Where'd my order of service go? Somebody must have snagged me order of service. Okay. Whatever. Thanks. Okay. Okay. Well, by now you know that Summit is a liberal religious community bound together by shared principles drawn from world religions, humanist teachings, nature, science, philosophy, and personal practices. We aspire to be a religion of love and inclusion. The mission of Summit is to commit ourselves to building a more compassionate, just, and sustainable world. If you'd like to learn more, you could go to our website, summituuf.org. We acknowledge that our fellowship resides on unceded Kumeyaay land. The Kumeyaay have lived on this land for 10,000 years, and it is their home today. We recognize the abusive history of colonization in California and are mindful of our duty to responsibly act from our position of privilege. We have a testimonial from Chris Rask today. So thank you, Chris, for sharing why you are here at Summit.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay? All right, cool. Right. All right, I'm Chris. Let's see, I'm wearing a black and blue graphic tee and jeans. I have brown hair. So. All right. You know, sometimes you go into a day not realizing just how that day will profoundly change your life. And I can honestly say that my first visit to Summit was a day like that for me. I first just want to say how thankful I am for everyone here. Whether you're a long-standing member of Summit or you're just checking out Summit for the first time, you make Summit the place it is. And I've personally found Summit to be a place where I've found community, acceptance, inspiration, and opportunity to live out my values. All humans have a need to feel part of a community. For some of us, community may be easily accessible through our natural circumstances. But for many of us, community is not something that just falls into our lap. It can too often be difficult to find. And personally, I have lived those circumstances. As someone who was born into a small, fundamentalist, conservative family, when I first started my journey of coming out as a transgender man several years back, I soon found myself in a position of being essentially familyless. I no longer had anywhere I could go for holidays. I didn't have any elders in my life that I could go to for support and guidance. Furthermore, being somebody who is just now navigating the world as a man for the first time after presenting as a woman for my whole life, it was difficult to find friends. So I came to Summit from that position, feeling isolated and disconnected. Right away, I felt the warmth, authenticity, and acceptance in this community. So much so that I was frankly surprised. I feel there is a uniqueness about this place, and I immediately knew that I wanted to be involved. I ended up disclosing my transgender status that day, unplanned, when I was asking a question of our speaker, Greg Ward, who spoke on the importance of respect. At our salon gathering, you all welcomed me with open arms for who I am. I felt seen. I felt valued. I cannot understate the profoundly positive impact the way I've been treated by this community has had on my mental well-being. So it didn't take long for me to get involved more in Summit. I've become part of the tech team, and I help staff the Zoom stream of our service about twice a month. And I've also become involved in our social justice and activism committee. I believe that there is a moral responsibility to use our skills and resources to be giving and helpful to the world around us. And so for a long time, I've been wanting to get more involved in service work, but just didn't really know where to start. But here at Summit, with the Social Justice and Activism Committee, I found those opportunities. I'm so thankful for the opportunity to learn from fellow members of Summit about how to engage in social justice, how to organize, and how to work together. We have many members of this congregation who have extensive experience in social justice work and community engagement. I've learned so much, and I continue to. My involvement has given me access to many ways to participate in activism, as well as to learn about the needs and the injustices here in San Diego. I would also be remiss if I did not speak about my involvement in the men's group and how this group has had such a positive impact on my life. As a transgender man, I naturally have some apprehension about being accepted into men's spaces. For the majority of my life, men's spaces have been inaccessible to me, and there's been a huge unmet need for brotherly camaraderie amongst men. The men's group has been a space where I've become more comfortable with feeling I belong amongst other men. And I'm so thankful for how this group has just treated me as an ordinary guy. So to everyone in the men's group, I want to sincerely thank you. To wrap things up, I hope my testimony here today will help you see just how much your involvement in Summit has a real, impactful effect on the people around you. And I want to invite you to take a critical action in sustaining our community, which is financially supporting it. Summit cannot be sustained without the financial support needed to pay our wonderful staff, to cover the expenses of our campus, to buy supplies, etc. Whatever amounts you have to contribute, it matters and it makes a big difference. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for your courage and your commitment. And it's an honor to have you in this congregation. Thank you. Okay, chalice lighting.
What happened to all my paperwork?
I had it written down. Okay, well. Sorry, folks. Oh, there she is. Ashley Blaze, I got it. Okay. Through, what? Well, I wrote it down by hand so that okay. Through this week, this chalice abides, cupped and silent. Softly it gleams in a dimly lit room, complete unto itself. Today we come together as a community of faith, joyful and free. Our individual energies combine to spark the flame of truth. May we each draw strength from the other, and like the chalice, may we be bathed in the fire of commitment to social justice, equity, and peace. Please rise, is that right? As we're willing and able for the UU hymn.
As I mentioned earlier, my name is Pastor Casey Marie Pandell. Whether it is your first visit or your 5,000th visit, you are whole, you are holy, you are loved, and you are so welcome here. Our reading today comes from Julian Jamaica Soto, entitled Celebrating Abundance. All that we are, together and individually, is part of the abundance of the universe. We are made of stars. We are made of earth. All that we have comes from earth, from the labor of those in our communities, from the cities, the farms, and the oceans that enliven us, the world and those who live in it. We are surrounded by blessing, by grace, and by possibilities. We are reflected in every other human being. We respect and honor one another's differences. We celebrate our interbeing with abundance and the practice of generosity. Come, let us worship together. Please rise in mind, body, or spirit to sing our first hymn in the Teal Hymnal 1029, Love Knocks and Waits for Us to Hear. Every week, we take some time during our service to hold the joys and the concerns of our community. These things can be emailed or texted to me throughout the week, or can be handwritten near the chancel for me to read on Sunday morning. As always, whether you share or not, all are welcome to light a candle as so moved. We have two this morning. The first come from Carol and Wendell Rollins' daughter, Carrie, who has asked to update the congregation. Carol had a blood clot recently in her lung that has been dissolved, and she's receiving daily physical therapy with hopes to be home in 3 weeks. The situation, however, is still unfolding, and our continued thoughts and prayers are so welcomed. And Carol would love to receive cards at their White Cliffs address. So we hold the Rollinses in our heart during this troubling time. Michelle shares that Miles is out of the ICU and improving every day. He is still in the hospital and is working to get home as soon as possible. The family appreciates all of the cards, meals, and loving support from the Summit community. Please remember, no calls at this time, but every card you want to send, they read. And I would like to invite, actually, hold that thought. We know that not all joys and sorrows that are in this room now have been shared with us aloud. We hold you in our hearts every week. And now I would like to invite Mary Carter Vale up.
Well, good morning. I am a 60-year-old white woman with graying red hair, wearing boots, a country western jean dress, and a cowboy hat, because yeehaw! So I'm back. I was gone for 2 weeks on some bereavement leave that the board granted me, where I went camping and just sat and stared off into into nature, which is always a healing place for me. So thank you for that with deepest gratitude. So it's a new month, which means a new theme, which means Jet Pig is here. Y'all met Jet Pig? Jet Pig. So for those, several of you who are teachers recognize this right away. Jet Pig. So this month our theme is transformation. So that is our theme for this month. And Chris, thank you for your testimonial. That was a transformative experience, wasn't it? It sounded like a transformation. Like a lot of us go through transformations when we first discover Summit, and transformations through our work at Summit, right? But I'd like to invite all of our young folks up, because we're going to talk about transformation of something else. Transformation of something very, very small. And here comes. And each of you can have one of these. Casey, you want to help me pass these out to the kids? They can each have one or two. So I grew up in Maine. And I was a child of a family that grew all our own food. So this time of year in Maine is snowy season, and we've been without green things for a very long time. So one of my favorite things was anticipating the new garden. And around February and March, we would start planning, and we would get the seed catalogs. When your ground has been covered with snow for months and months, to get the seed catalogs would be so exciting. And we would look through and we'd pick out our seeds. Now, these are sunflower seeds. Do you know that inside this little seed is almost everything you need to become this beautiful flower? Yeah, that's pretty amazing when you think about all this genetic material to make these flowers is in this tiny, tiny little seed. It's just waiting to be opened, right? You would open a seed, if you were eating it, you'd open it with your teeth probably, right? But if you're growing it, the opening is a little trickier. It needs some special conditions, right? Put it in not snow, right. So we're gonna plant this seed, and then we have seeds for you guys to help me hand out to everybody here, okay? So I have our little chalice here. So think about this little chalice as our property, as Summit, the land that we're on, right? And maybe we can include our staff in this, what we support here, right? What helps us do all the work, or some of the work, I should say. Because we also have our community. And this is nutrient-rich soil and compost and worm castings and all the wonderful things that you would need to grow something. And I look at this as the richness of all of us when we're together. You know, when we're all together, we're beautiful, rich, nutrient-rich soil. So if we put the seed in here, let's put some seeds in here. There's some seeds in the soil. Are they going to grow? Why? No water. And what else does a seed need to grow? Dirt and sun, warmth, warmth. So for warmth, we're going to do the warmth first, and then we'll do the water. For warmth, I have one of our RE candles. This is our little sun. It'll warm our seeds. And warmth, I look at warmth, like look at the very center. What's in the very center of our flower over there? You see what that very center thing on the teal is? It says love, right? Yeah. Does love feel like warmth? Yeah. Yes, it does. It's warm and cozy. So this is our love we're going to put in here. So we have love, we have our people, we have our community, we have our place, but it also needs one more thing. Moisture, water. This is one of our fancy Harry Potter, when we did the Harry Potter things. So the water are all the wonderful resources it takes to make it all work together, right? It's our time, our talent, our treasure. Everything that everybody gives to this community is the water. And we need that, because without that, those seeds can't grow. So we're going to transform these seeds, hopefully, into this. We're going to plant some of them outside in our little flower pots, and we're going to see what happens with all this rain. So transformation is our theme, and so all of you can do the same, especially with the rain that's happening. We have Pam put together these wonderful packets that say a new beginning, because seeds are the wonderful symbol of a new beginning. Can you guys do me a favor and hand these out to everybody? Everyone take a handful and make sure everybody gets some. Gentle, gentle. It's not a race. It's probably more than we need. Okay, gentle, gentle. There we go. Okay, okay, okay. That's enough, Riker. You want to hand some out? All right. So, you got it? Raise your hand if you didn't get one, so we make sure we get everybody. Look, the whole side over there. So while they're handing those out, I'm going to do our children's community affirmation, which we are Unitarian Universalists, people of open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. Are we singing a song? We are.
And please rise in mind, body, or spirit as you are able to sing hymn 347 in our gray hymnal, the hardback one, Gather the Spirit. Please join me in a time of silent prayer, meditation, or reflection. Our meditation today are words from Alice Anacheka Neisman entitled Honoring Church Ancestors. Let us take a moment to honor the ancestors of this church, the people who first came together to create a home for liberal religion here in Santee, who worked to raise money for a building, who sat in committee meetings and created bylaws, who chopped and marinated and baked for potlucks, who painted and weeded and pounded nails and washed countless dishes, who gathered to worship, to learn, to grieve, to heal, to serve, to build justice, to transform their lives and this world. We are the recipients of an incredible gift and a beautiful vision. Let us do our part to keep this congregation strong, vital, and thriving for generations to come. Amen. What may come as possibly no surprise to anyone, there are still yet some things as a minister that I haven't done. While seminary does a pretty good job of preparing us for many scenarios, writing the annual Canvas sermon is not one of those things. The importance of the pledge drive is not lost on seminarians and ministers, and we, in my perspective anyhow, receive a healthy dose of worry over it. What if I don't say the right things? This is the kickoff of one of the biggest parts of our year. If I don't do it right, the pledge will fail. Of course, if our predecessors were particularly adept at this task, they also feel like uncomfortably big shoes to fill. I don't know yet if I'm any good at this part of the job. I've never done it before. And thinking about the ministers that I've learned from, I found that I didn't glean much from those experiences either, mostly because I probably never listened well enough to a Canvas sermon for it to matter. In no small part because it never really made sense to. I could never afford to pledge to my home church, so a sort of polite ignorance was my modus operandi. And I tell you guys, I felt remarkable resistance this week to this sermon. No doubt because it feels totally brand new to write in ways that I haven't thought about since I wrote my first sermon in 2018. And new things are sometimes scary. I try really to avoid the idea of perfection in my worship, because perfection is a ruse to help us pretend that humans are not fallible. And yet, someone earlier this week said they were sure I was going to deliver a dynamite sermon today. And I think I felt myself break into a cold sweat. There's a lot riding on the words that I say any Sunday, more than I care to admit sometimes. But I felt it pretty keenly this week of all weeks. So I'll start at the beginning. For those folks in the room who may never have heard of a pledge drive or canvassing in this way, it is important to note, as you heard Pam tell us, that Unitarian Universalist congregations are self-sustaining, which is to say, our money doesn't come from a diocese. It is not distributed to us from the Unitarian Universalist Association. It's the members that keep the lights on, the mortgage is paid, the programming robust, the worship chugging along. And this is that sort of weird time of the year where I get to stand up here and say, hi, please give us money. And that can feel kind of icky. I mentioned before that I've basically never pledged. I went from congregant to aspirant to candidate for ministerial fellowship within a very short amount of time. And in none of that time was I ever making enough money to have much to spare, so I've got some pretty particular feelings about asking people for money. Not that I'm against asking for it, but I am always mindful of differences in circumstances. I always want to make sure I am expressing my deepest gratitude for everything our members and friends do for this community, which is why I lean so much into the expression time, talent, and treasure. Whatever way we can give back to this community is good. But today, colloquially known as the Sermon on the Amount, I can't say that was my choice. Clearly, that is a play on Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. But I wondered to myself, what am I really asking for today? So I spent some time with a text this last week that had been assigned to us by Lee Barker, who is the former president of the UU School Meadville Lombard and my alma mater. The book is called A Spirituality of Fundraising. Doesn't that sound thrilling? Henri Nouwen was a well-known spiritual writer, professor, and priest. And in this book, Nouwen frames fundraising as an act of spiritual invitation, of spiritual sustenance, saying, as you heard earlier, fundraising is first and foremost a form of ministry. It is a way of announcing our vision and inviting other people into our mission. So that's exactly what I intend to do. Quoting our own website, Summit is a congregation of doing. Whether it is caring for those in need, showing up for social justice, enjoying each other through activities, or raising money to keep the lights on, Summit members are generous with their time, their hearts, their talents, and their resources. We also like to have fun. And it's no wonder I found myself interested in serving this community. Pastoral care and social justice are the two main ways that I live my UU faith. And being amongst like-minded folks is paramount. One major example of this practice here at SUF, I know, someone laughed at that earlier, SUF, Summit Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Were it not for the financial generosity of this community, we never would have paid off our mortgage. Coming to fully own the building that not only allows us to gather like this on a Sunday for spiritual fulfillment and communal presence, but gives us the space to host the interfaith shelter, to extend with open hearts the resources we have available to help remind some of our most forgotten that they are worthy and that they matter to someone. Financial giving allows us to help raise the next generation of UUs, giving a safe space for our children to grow as little sunflowers do, giving them a place to grow and learn and question, and really give our adults a place to grow and learn and question as well. But this is more than what we've done in the past. An invitation into mission and vision involves looking deeply into the future, not just at what we think is possible, but willing our greatest hopes into reality. So from what I know so far of all of you, this is the vision I want to help Summit realize into truth. When you welcomed me here, there were calls of, "Welcome home, Pastor Casey." Look around this room. Go ahead, look around. Who's missing? Who do you want to see in this room that is not yet here? I want us to be a spiritual and community home for the people for whom Santee may never feel safe. I want young LGBTQ plus kids and their family to know you are whole, you are holy, you are loved, and you are home here. I want us to be a home for more young families, a home for Black, Indigenous, and other people of color. I want us to be a home for the curious, the questioning, the deconstructing, the former fundamentalists seeking solace and salvation in something that does not require salvation. I want people to enter these doors and know, just as Chris did, unequivocally, we love you and you are safe with us. Welcome home. And that will take a type of grit and commitment that I know feels huge right now, because it is more than just the conversations we have. Were conversations enough, we would have a very different vision of this room today. It will take swallowing our fears in the face of oppression. A presence at the Lakeside Christmas market was a great start, but we must not remain in this cozy little home, but must be willing to go out into the world and speak truth to power whenever possible. We must be willing to make connections across other local faith communities to help build a loving home of liberal faith communities to support and care for marginalized people of every shape, size, color, and background. We must be willing to commit more fully to our children. We must be open to other explorations of faith and spirituality beyond the sermons you hear on a Sunday. But Pastor Casey, how do we do that? It starts here, today, in this room. Making a commitment to support these efforts however possible. If all you can pledge today is $1 every single month, thank you. I know that $1 is worth its weight in mission. If you can pledge $1,000 every month, thank you. I know that $1,000 is worth its weight in mission. If you can pledge $10,000, because it's not about the amount you can give. It's about what possibilities that unlocks us to be able to help give the world. When you pledge, you aren't just giving financially, you are saying loudly with your entire chest, I love this community and I believe in the good work it can do. I want to be a part of it. Because if we follow Henri Nouwen's model of fundraising, we are living the kingdom in action. He says we needn't wait for the promise after death because a spirituality of financial generosity helps build a world now that is worth loving and living. Whether they have much or little, he says, is not as important as making their money available to God. In other words, what you can help create with your commitment is much more spiritually important than how much you can give to make it happen. But our mission will take boldness. If we want to be a loud, proud, and visible home for social justice in conservative Santee, it will take big moves. If we want to be a nurturing, caring home for the seekers who find us, it takes genuine commitment with our whole hearts. So I'm asking you to dig deep. I don't ever want to see anyone put themselves in bad straits, but I do want you to think about what this community means to you and what you want to see it become in the world. Commit to our mission of caring and justice, and commit to a willingness to see a hopeful future into reality. And then pledge. Pledge with your whole heart and your entire soul, because this is your home. So let's see it thrive and grow into the future. So may it be, and amen.
And now it's time for the offering. A little bit more money, but give fearlessly and confidently that whatever you have, however small it might be, will go a long way. Thank you.
Please rise in mind, body, or spirit one more time to sing our closing hymn, number 1028, in our soft-covered teal hymnal, The Fire of Commitment. And let's sing it with gusto and in heart. I really like that song. Our promise finds fulfillment so our future can begin. That is what I am asking you to do here today, to make a promise to yourselves, to each other, to this community, to the good work I know we can do in the world. We see it happening here every day. So let's go out and do it with a bang. Amen, shalom, salam, namaste, ashe, and blessed be. Go now in peace. May the light within you be a blessing to the world.
Let's see. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Now we'll sing the closing circle song, and then we'll have a brief break, or shall we skip the break?
Let's
And
skip
go.
it because if you want to do any community questions, we can, but we got donuts. So if we want to skip the community questions today, we can skip it too. Let's skip it.
Let's skip it or do it.
I'm hearing 50-50.
Yeah, I actually,
We'll do a
I think,
short community gathering, and then we'll go off for donuts.
yeah, I think that's a good idea. Maybe some questions about the topic, you know,
Yeah,
actually.
just in case
And this
you
is
have
a good
questions
day
for
to,
Sandy and Pam.
yeah, this is a good day to discuss that. So I think let's have it, but maybe it be short, depending on how hungry everybody is for some sugar and fat. Okay, yeah, closing circle song.
Pam and Sandy up here too, so they're ready if you need them.
We're just going to have a quick discussion about the sermon before we dismiss for donuts.
I know, I've had you guys sitting down 15 minutes extra than normal. I know you all want to chat to each other. All right. Barbara had a question. We'll start with Barbara. Sure.
You guys are being annoyed with me because I'm going to see how fast I can do this. But one of the things that brought me here, and one of the things that honestly that makes me pledge, is not just this community which I adore, but being part of a bigger community. And I did something incredibly difficult today. We've been such an upbeat service today, and this is a downer. But as a UU, I have to bring it up. I put my menorah in the closet today, very mindfully and very lovingly. And I tried to do that maybe 6 weeks ago. And I walked around the house with it. And I thought, I love my menorah. My heritage is not Jewish except for a tiny, tiny little drop on my dad's side. It's mostly German. We were there. That was the people that, did the Holocaust. And I think part of my reason, one of the things that brought me to being a UU was this whole journey that included looking into Judaism as a spiritual path for me. And I found that this is where I belong. And yet, the person that I married, that I'm no longer married to, the father of my children, his heritage was partly Jewish, and I thought, we're getting a menorah. And my kids are going to celebrate Hanukkah. And after I split up with him,